Alright, welcome back, Bisons. For today's video, we're going to do a craft with me. The goal is to be making candles. I started getting into making candles last summer when I found out one of my coworkers also has experience making candles. I asked him basically like, who do you buy from? What do you use? Blah, blah, blah. Because I had tried making candles so many times before in the past. I would buy like kits from like craft stores and just like follow the kit's directions and do what they say. And my candles wouldn't even burn. Like I would light the wick and it would immediately go out. So I was feeling really frustrated and stuff. Now I finally have it down and I've been working on my summer scents. My summer scents have been flying off the shelves. I cannot keep them stocked. So I really need to lock in and make a bunch of scents. But today specifically, we are going to be making Mediterranean fig. And then we're going to be mixing mint with lavender. This was a request from one of my coworkers, so we're gonna see how that turns out. I only make 2 scents at a time and I make 3 candles of each scent because that is how much my brain can handle being covered head to toe in scent. It really does take a toll on the brain to have that much like fragrance in the room. So I usually recommend making candles in a space where you can vent the air and like open a window and stuff. Otherwise, I do think I have fried my sense of smell, but yeah, so that's what we're gonna be doing today. To make candles, you actually need to make a coffee first. So I will be making this pistachio vanilla double espresso today. I ordered these as a joke because Sam is allergic to pistachio and I just filled everything with the pistachio coffee so that he knew that this was an attack on his character. Now I am stuck drinking a bunch of this flavored coffee. It's not very good. I don't recommend it. I really won't, but this is how I make it digestible. I do use this caramel syrup and almond milk. I really wish someone would have warned me that this almond milk is disgusting because I bought like a pack of 8 of these at Costco and I really do not recommend. I will never be purchasing this again. Real bison heads remember what happened here on a previous video. These are the tools you'll be needing to make candles. You'll need a kitchen scale, a 1 liter cup that you can microwave because the wax is going to be going in here. You're gonna need your fragrance oils, which is going to be the scents you're using. I use 1 ounce of oil per 1 pound of wax. That's like the maximum scent profile. And also, since I'm mixing scents, I have this cup just to mix the fragrances together. You'll need a metal device of some sort in order to mix the fragrance oil with the hot wax. And then you're gonna want some IPA or some kind of cleaning like solution similar to it so that you can clean your tools between each use so that they don't permanently smell like the candle scent you're making. I also have a dropper for mixing together these oils because I want to do half lavender, half mint. And then I also use cotton rounds to put the IPA on to clean everything. This is kind of up to you. You can just use whatever you like to clean with. And then you're going to need wax. I use the Golden Brands 464 soy wax from Candle Science. And then you're going to need a microwave and an oven. You're going to preheat your oven to the lowest heat setting it can go to. 100 degrees is ideal, but the lowest mine goes to 170. So I have my oven set at that. And then you need an oven safe dish that you can put your candles in. 1 pound of matte wax makes 3 8-ounce candles. So I've got my 3 candle jars in here ready to go in the oven. These are the candle jars that I personally use, the 8-ounce jelly jars. And then you're also going to need these to hold up the wicks. You're going to need wicks themselves, which I use the Eco 2 6-inch pre-tap wick. And then you're going to need something to stick these wicks onto the candle jars. Okay, first and foremost, before you start anything, I put my jars in the oven. The reason I'm putting the jars in the oven is because I use glass jars, and if you put the hot wax into the jars while they're cold, the wax will separate, like move away from the glass, and you'll see kind of this like weird effect on your candle. Next thing we're going to do is weigh our wax. So I'm going to put this on the scale and zero it out. I'm going to add the wax. With a 1 liter measuring cup, you pretty much will have it like filled to the top. So this is at 15 ounces, so I'm gonna have to squish the wax down. And I'm just gonna add some more wax. All right, there we have it. 1 pound of wax. So next we're gonna put this in the microwave. So this is going to go in here for 4.5 minutes. If this is your first time melting wax, I would start with 4 minutes and see how it is. If there's still some like white chunks that you can see, I'll do an extra 30 seconds. Now, while the wax is melting, I'm going to set up our fragrance. So I'm going to take this cup, I'm going to zero it out on the scale, and then I'm going to try and add 0.5 ounces of the mint. I'm just going to eyeball it at first. Okay. I successfully just poured it in at 0.5. Now, I've got a big thing of lavender because I use lavender a lot, so I'm going to start adding the lavender. And the goal is to get this to 1 ounce. Okay, it's close, so I'm going to use the dropper. And it's important to note that if you're mixing fragrances, some fragrances will block out other fragrances and other scents. So you might want to look up, is there any fragrance notes that are going to get canceled if you mix two things together, because you may not get the fragrance presenting that you want to be presenting. So just kind of a heads up. This is pretty low risk because mint is a prominent scent and lavender is a prominent scent. So I'm hoping there's ways to test for it, but I prefer the method of just like jumping in and seeing what happens. Next, we're going to prep our wicks. So here are our wicks. We're just going to tab them with some plastic. And then we're just going to add the sticker bottoms and press them on. Alright, all of our wicks are prepped, so we're just going to leave them over here by the oven. As soon as the microwave is done, you're going to want to be ready with your fragrance oil and whatever you're going to be stirring the wax with. Just remember to make whatever you are stirring with metal. What is it, Squid? Alright, okay. So here's our mixture of the lavender and mint. So we're just going to pour this in. We're going to stir this for 2 minutes, so I'm going to start an oven timer. And you want to make sure to be stirring thoroughly and in both directions. And also, I sometimes have like little wax chunks on the side. I just kind of push those in. They melt pretty quickly in the mixture. Alright, our 2 minutes is up. I guess I forgot to say I use a lot of paper towels just because you don't want to really be pouring wax down your sink. Unless you're renting, feel free to pour wax down your kitchen sink. But for those of us who are in charge of our sinks, I use a lot of paper towels to kind of get rid of the extra wax. So now we're going to take this wax over to our jars. So we have our wax over here. We're going to take out our jars. Now before we pour the wax in, we're going to add the wicks. So we're just going to pull off the sticker tab, and then let me know if you're a more professional candle maker and you've got like a secret for how to place the wicks. I'm solely eyeballing it and just hoping for the best, and then I use the same thing I mix with, but just anything that's long enough that you can use to kind of push down on the wick bottom so that it holds. But I have had people complain that the wicks are not in the center of the candles, and to that I say that's the price of homemade. Okay, that's just what happens when you support small businesses. For me at least, if you're supporting my small business, your wick just might not be centered, and you just have to accept that, I guess. You know, like, stuff happens. Now the reason I put the wicks after I take them out of the oven is because before I was putting them on initially and then putting them in the oven, and the wicks were like melting while they were in the oven, and then they weren't burning as well. That's what it says to do on like other directions that I've read, so I guess oh well. Once those are on there nice, we'll put our wick stands on, put those nice and taut. You don't want to pull too hard. I have ripped wicks off of the bottom. This is kind of just something you'll learn with time, is like how much pressure you can put on a wick. My secret though is I do keep wax melt containers on standby. If I rip the wick out, I just take the wax that is in the candle and just pour it into wax melts so that I don't waste the wax. But now we are going to pour. I have to lock in for this step. I do my best to make all three even, but again, supporting small businesses, you're gonna have to support my small mistakes as well. While the wax is still hot in this container, I'm going to wipe it clean with a paper towel, get all the extra wax out, and then I'm gonna go in with the IPA and just clean the rest of the wax. Alright, so the most important thing to do after you clean your wax containers, because that needs to happen before the wax solidifies, After you do that, wash your hands because you have no idea how much wax is chilling on there. And then when it's time to put the labels on, you're gonna accidentally get wax all over the labels. Take it from someone who has learned the lesson the hard way. Here's my labels. I get them printed at Avery because I don't have a printer and I think they do a pretty good job. I designed the labels on Canva. Graphic design is not my passion. This is just a template I found and then I just added my information on it. I really like, if graphic design is your passion and you feel like designing candle labels for me, reach out. But for right now, this is what we're working with. So this is the lavender and mint mix. This is what we're gonna be putting on. As far as placing the labels, it truly for me is hoping for the best. I kind of just my labels are very often crooked. I apologize. I am trying my best. All right, boom. The labels are put on and now we're just going to make sure the wicks are actually centered and we're just going to leave them to cure and set up. Now that you guys are pros at making candles, I'm gonna make the batch of the next scent, which is the fig one. So yeah, basically I ordered like 6 summer scents at the start because personally I don't burn a lot of candles in summer and I've never really been a big like summer candle person, but I was like, you know, I can't leave the fans and wait, you know, I can't just act like I don't have people to feed candle wise, you know. So I ordered some scents I thought would be good, got some input from the people who like my candles, and I was like, okay, what were you expecting, you know. So from that feedback I did Black Sea, which, you know, oceany kind of scent. I did a strawberries and cream, a watermelon lemonade, Fireside Vanilla, which was advertised as toasted marshmallow, but I'm glad I called it Fireside Vanilla because it's definitely just like a smoky vanilla. Honeydew Melon, which personal favorite of mine, no one else bought it, so I guess it's up to me to burn all of the Honeydew Melon. I did like it, but I guess probably won't make next year. And then man, what else? Oh, an oak moss and amber, which was sage, lavender, amber, tonka bean, and moss. That one was really good. I liked that one. Basically, those went super fast, so I ordered some more candles just to kind of round out summer here. And with that order, I did the lavender mint request. Citronella, because I figured, you know, summer, mosquitoes. What kind of candle company would I be without a citronella line in the summer? Fig Blossom, mostly just kind of like, wanted to see what that one smelled like. Southern Peach, the day I made it, completely gone. So I'm gonna order peach again and make the peach for anyone who missed out on that one. Horse Girl, which was a scent request by a coworker who, if you could imagine, rides and takes care of horses. That one is clove, bergamot, labdanum, don't know what that is, leather and amber. Very atmospheric, very dark, heavy on the leather. I think it does line up with the Horse Girl. I do think it lines up with the Horse Girl. And then we have elderberry tea, which I made that one last. And I hate to say it, there's one person in particular who wants to check this tea out. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. You fully can purchase this tea if you like it. I hate it. I don't even know if I can explain why I hate it because I feel like I would be doing a disservice to the people who do like the smell. But it reminds me of something, and I asked Sam, I was like, does this smell like? And he was like, it does smell like. I want to say it so bad. I want to say it so bad, but I can't. I can't ruin it for people who do like it. I don't want to be that person. But then next up, for the rest of summer, I do have a classic called Sam's Blend. It is coconut and teak wood. I combine those 2 scents for Sam every year, so I'm gonna need to make more of those. And then I just have some classics that I need to make more of. Coffee Shop, which is like a creamy coffee scent. Bookworm, which is another atmospheric, leathery kind of scent. This is like, if you have a home office, or if you have like if for some reason you have like your own library in your house, perfect candle for that scenario. I love this scent. I have a hard time just not repeatedly making the scent, but I'm gonna be making more of that as well. And then as we transition to fall, I've got like an amber vanilla and one that I'm calling Supper Club. Let me read you the notes. It's called Speakeasy on the website, but I'm Midwestern, so I guess like there are speakeasies in Chicago. That was kind of a whole thing, but I'm not from the area. So orange, violet, pine, sage, leather, and juniper. I'm curious to see how this takes in wax form. Also curious for what it'll burn like. Time to put this in the microwave. I am hoping to move my setup into what is going to be my future craft room in the basement. I'm a little nervous though for the circulation. There are some windows in that room, so I'm hoping I can still keep up venting the scent. I might add like a box fan to one of the windows just to move things. But I'm getting a toaster oven from my mom for my birthday, and then I need to get like just like a dinky microwave from like Walmart or something that like lowest quality to have. I just need a microwave, and I'm gonna set those up in the basement and try to kind of have a permanent setup, because the thing stopping me from making candles is having to set everything up again and then put it all away. But I also get really stressed out about clutter. I create the clutter, I leave the clutter out. I proceed to get really frustrated with myself because of said clutter. So that's kind of my working solution. I'm hoping that like helps me out. We are getting close to fall time, which is exciting for all you fall heads. Candle making is obviously the best during the fall. I'm already super excited for what I'm going to make. So since I started probably this time last year making candles, I did like some fun scents, but come August, I immediately jumped into the fall scents. So I already have my classics. Like this is my first time making a lap per se in the candle world. So I already know, I have a general idea of what I already love. I'm gonna do some experimenting because I think I have like over 50 candle scents in my business. That is not sustainable, but I will continue to keep adding more. You know, some are just limited edition. You know, some come and go. I'm not the only business to do that. You know, like Bath & Body Works does it. Also, speaking of Bath & Body Works, you people need to understand that these are soy candles, okay? Soy candle. They're not gonna burn as quickly as Bath & Body Works candles do. When you burn this candle, you need to make sure you've got time, okay? There's no just like letting it for 15 minutes and then extinguish it and moving it on. So all you people who are upset about how it's burning, I'm sorry. Just remember it's soy. Honestly, I don't think I know what figs smell like. Like I know I'm smelling the scent right here, but couldn't tell you if this is true to the fig. Honestly, this fig is giving more hand soap vibes than I would say candle. Anyways, there's a lot of like, I've noticed there's been a lot of hobby discourse online about like, what do you do besides go on your phone? And people don't have an answer for that, and they're kind of realizing that, you know, they're turning half 50, maybe even half 52, some of us, and they don't have a hobby. I fear I have never been victim of this. Have I been a victim of being addicted to my phone? Yes, of course, 100%. Have I been a victim of being hobbyless? Absolutely not, because, you know, sometimes when you get to a point where you're like, okay, maybe I could check in. And when I say check in, you know, in-person, clinic, I think to myself, what would I be doing if I was checked in? And the answer is always crafts. So when I'm starting to feel stuck, or when life is getting hard to cope with, the answer to me is always crafts. So I've been a crafter my whole life, but if you're kind of in that vein where you're like, okay, I'm half 50, I don't have a hobby besides going on my phone, what should I do? This is my first piece of advice. What do you spend all of your money on? Or what is your most favorite thing to spend your money on? For me, I loved buying candles. Candles have like always been one of the main things I've purchased, and stuff that like, I'm not just buying them and not using them. Like, I have a candle collection and it's getting burned through repeatedly. And so I kind of asked myself, is it cheaper for me to purchase candles, or is it cheaper for me to make candles? Because if you're one of those frugal heads out there, if you are always focusing on how far you can make your penny work, okay, I'm a similar way. If I can do something cheaper, I jump on that. Love that. And so I did a little math. And of course, like starting out, you're gonna have some upfront costs, like purchasing the tools that you need, getting the wax and all the supplies. But I calculated it out, and without factoring in shipping, because the shipping ranges based off of how heavy your order is, I was coming out to about $450 a candle. Like that's how much it costs me to purchase the supplies and have an end product of a candle. So for me, I could make candles and it was technically more affordable than purchasing a bunch of candles for myself at like stores. Well, I guess long story short, if you're looking for a hobby, ask yourself, what do I buy a lot and could I make it myself? That is how I came about candle making. I don't know. I like hobbies that are useful. I do like color and stuff, so you could say that's not useful, but it's easy and there's a low barrier of entry, so I don't mind it. Oftentimes, I feel like the biggest barrier of entry into a hobby is yourself. Just got a bunch of wax on my fingers. I feel like it's easy to get caught up in the feeling of like, I don't want to start this because I could fail it, or like I'm not gonna meet my expectations of what I want from myself. I totally feel that, and I often get very scared if I sell people candles that they're going to hate it, it's not gonna burn right, they're gonna find something else to be upset about. Gotta lock in. Like, especially if people make requests and they want like a specific scent, I'm terrified that like I'm going to make them that scent and they're gonna get it and be like, wow, never asking her again for a scent. I don't know, like, but I do think it's important to realize that people don't put the same expectations on you as you probably put on yourself. So you might be expecting perfection from yourself, but the people around you less so. I don't know. Well, Bisons, here's your prompt for this video. Do you have any hobbies? If so, what are you doing? Would you recommend it? Should I try it? Is it expensive to start? Any details you think could be important. Let's like build a community where we just share with each other what we do to survive. Personally, I've been making candles, just started making videos as kind of part of the creative process. Been coloring, been doing sticker books, diamond dots. Love those as stress relievers. Great to do while you're watching a show. Video games, obvi. Reading, obvi. How have you been spending your time? Cat alert, cat alert. Okay, so now that I have the 2 candles that I made ready to go, labels on, I'm gonna let them cure and then we'll check back in later and I'll show you how to finish off said candles. All right, it's the next day, and as you can see, our candles have successfully cured. So the next step is just going to be removing what we were holding the wick with, and then from there it's just going to be trimming the wick, which you don't want to trim the wick too short. I kind of do one of these. It's a little bit long, but I'd rather have long versus short. So we're just going to do that to all of the candles. Okay, all of the wicks are trimmed and we have the lids on. If anyone is curious, these are the lids I use, the antique gold threaded lid for the jelly jars. Next is the sniff test. A final sniff test is always necessary because a fragrance oil is going to smell one way just as an oil. It's going to smell another way while you're making the candle, and then once it's cured, that's kind of your final fragrance. So we're going to start with lavender mint. Let's see how she did. Okay, I would say exactly what you think this would smell like. It's exactly what you think this would smell like. Cat sniff test. Okay, I think that means Squid didn't like it. Next, we're going to check the fig blossom. I stick with my previous claim that this would be good as a hand soap, like if you're making barred soap. Not really loving it as a candle. Time for the Squid test. It's different. Okay, this one passed the Squid test. He didn't punch it, which is a good sign. So that's gonna be it for the candle making. Comment below if you have any questions. I'll answer to help you guys out if you're making candles yourselves. Also comment down below if you want to try any other crafts with me. I will be totally down to try other crafts. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.